I'm a 20-year-old guy who's been working for a company for 4 years. This is my 4th year. As you may expect, I got a job after finishing junior high school. Some folks frequently express regret that I was unable to complete high school. It is true that there aren't many middle school grads these days, and I am well aware that people regard me in that light. But I've never felt sorry for myself. But to begin, I am the eldest son of an ill mother with 2 younger brothers, and our family has always been poor. So, I never expected to go to high school. But I thought it was normal, and despite my poverty, my family was close, and I was content. So it's not like somebody told me to start working after finishing junior high. It was a natural choice for me, but my mother seemed apologetic. "Benjamin, you can go to high school without worrying about me. I'll take care of the tuition." She told me so, but I always told her, "What are you talking about? I just want to work as soon as possible." No one's life is the same, and education is no longer the only thing that matters. I don't have to go to high school. I simply want to do my best on the road I've chosen. I was just at an earlier fork in the road than everyone else. In retrospect, I believe that was incredibly mature of a 9th grader to say such a thing, but I didn't say that carelessly. I was trying to figure out how I was going to stay cheerful in this relatively unusual career decision of working after graduating from junior high school. And I wondered how I could live peacefully with my family, and I believe that was my answer. Whatever position you are in, staying positive will make your life brighter. With such hope, I got a job at the age of 15. However, my working life turned out to be tougher than I had expected. The majority of people consider a career after graduation from junior high school to be physically challenging. To be honest, I was not confident in my physical power and endurance, so I attended as many interviews as possible in search of an office job. I was thrilled to learn that the company had offered me a job in the office just as I had planned, but my position appeared to be the lowest level 1 at that company. I had no advertising-related employment at all, but I was a junior high school graduate with no experience working even part-time. The person closest to me was at least 10 years my senior, and it was obvious that I was the least capable worker. So, of course, I had no complaints about these jobs. It was my first experience earning my own money, and I was rather pleased with myself. However, it wasn't until about a month after I started working that I began to feel uneasy about my employment. It was right around the time I received my first salary. I arrived at work in a good mood because I had my salary placed into my bank account for the first time. I was still mostly responsible for serving coffee and cleaning. However, I believe that seeing the numbers on my bank book allowed me to sincerely believe that I was able to assist someone. It was my boss, a female employee named Emma, who approached me. She set the tone for the company and was always in the focus of everyone's attention. "Yes, I received my first paycheck yesterday, so I'm very happy," I told her honestly with a stupidly loose smile.
"That's fantastic. Everyone is aware of how hard you've been working, so keep it up."
She said that to me. "Yes, thank you very much." I had never been publicly praised before, so it made me extra delighted. I didn't feel at ease with the people at the company, which was possibly due to our age difference. But it was a moment that inspired me to keep working hard so that they would notice me.
Can you then please copy these as soon as possible? Also, please go to the stationery store and buy this, as well as the convenience store and...
While I was taking notes on what Emma had instructed me to do, other staff approached me and begged for several favors. I'm doing good for everyone. I'm being useful to everyone. I felt such a sense of fulfillment and was elated, but I was still too young to understand my superior's actual intentions. That day at 6 p.m., I was told I could go home as usual. As soon as I left the office, I went back to get it, but just as I was about to open the door, something stopped me, because the gossip about me was going on inside. Benjamin was so funny today. I was struggling to hold back my laughter. It was Emma who said that. I had no idea what she was talking about, so I was very nervous. However, the other staff around me seemed to grasp right away, nodding. I couldn't help but wonder what they were talking about, even though I knew it was wrong to listen in. I couldn't move. Then, I heard some shocking words that jumped into my ears.
He's so proud of himself for doing a job that anyone can do. He was asking me if there was anything else he could do. We're not going to entrust him with important tasks. He's just a junior high school graduate who ran away from studying.
I know, and I honestly can't believe he's content with such a low starting wage.
Ari got drowned! We just died! I mean, he can only do chores, so it's no surprise he's underpaid. We should be happy that he's getting paid for it. It's almost as if we're babysitting him. Flist, and to be honest, he's almost in the way. Hi.
As my superiors, who always smiled at me, were laughing and discussing such things. It was true that my job was full of chores, and it was probably not a great job. But I was trying my best in my own way. I felt like I was contributing, even if just a little. But I was mistaken. I was ashamed of myself for thinking that I was valuable when they saw me as not just unnecessary, but also a nuisance. But Emma, didn't you say something kind to Benjamin earlier? One of the supervisors said so, and even I asked myself why she said that too. She did, in fact, speak to me with a smile. She stated that everyone was aware of how hard I was working. It was difficult to believe she was suddenly gossiping about me behind my back. But Emma instantly shattered my faint hope.
Ah, it's more convenient to flatter him, isn't it? He can at least be useful as an errand boy.
You're so mean. Emma's one word made me realize that I had been misinterpreting her since I started at this company. Even though it was only a minor thing, people relied on me, and this company needed me. I thought I was necessary to this company, but I was just a hindrance, a convenient errand boy. Everyone was just trying to make me happy for their own benefit. My thoughts blinked out, and I backed away from the scene, feeling helpless and betrayed by those I had trusted. In the process, my foot hit the door, and I made a loud thumping sound. Of course, the people inside noticed it. Everyone seemed to have noticed my pale face, but they only chuckled at each other, not showing any symptoms of being concerned. Seeing this, I realized that my presence was clearly unimportant to my superiors. I forgot my phone, so I just said that, picked up my phone from my desk, and left the office as quickly as I could. It must have been a nightmare. I wanted to think so, but actually, my nightmarish days started from here. When I went to work the next day, my boss's attitude towards me was noticeably different. Benjamin, make copies of this within 10 minutes. I spilled coffee earlier, so please wipe it up. It's almost lunchtime, so go buy me lunch. The number of jobs they assigned to me grew unexpectedly, and their tone was less courteous than previously. I wondered if it was because the boss's true intentions have been revealed to me, and they no longer had to put on a good face. Furthermore, I used to be able to leave work on time, but now it was normal for me to work 5 or 6 hours of overtime due to the tremendous quantity of tasks I was requested to complete. They would make me come in early in the morning to clean up, and they would yell at me. It was physically and mentally hard, and I thought about quitting the job again and again. But what kept me together were my family, who were always there for me, and my previous self, who was determined to live positively. I had a habit of keeping a diary, which was rare for a man. Every time I felt like quitting, I remembered what I wrote when I first started at the company. Whatever the situation, staying positive will make your life brighter. Maybe I was able to say it because I didn't realize how difficult things would be at the time. But I still had hope that I could change the future on my own. If I quit my work after only a month or so, despite the fact that I am a middle school graduate, it would be even more difficult to find another job. Even though I was only 15 years old, I knew that much. So I had no choice but to do the best I could at my current job. I'd heard that in cases like this, the more you react, the more amused they become, and the more they escalate. So I smiled back, like I usually did no matter how they treated me. I never grumbled and got through it with a carefree grin on my face, no matter how much overtime I had to work. As I continued to do so, I noticed that the quantity of purposeful harassment dropped. However, I still got sarcastic comments, and I still felt awkward with my boss. But I was confident that I could improve the situation because I never looked back, always forward. These days continued for several years until one day, the company I worked for was to be merged into another company. I had heard from my boss at work that there was going to be a social gathering with the executives, including the new president shortly. But I'd never been asked to accompany a drinking party before, and there was no way I'd be invited this time. That's what I thought. But then Emma came all the way over to me and said, "Benjamin, are you coming too?" Excuse me? Are you serious? I was still foolishly expecting to get along with my superiors. You know, you've turned 20 years old. Hearing her words, I was even more surprised. I thought that the bosses didn't want to invite me because they didn't like me. Could it be that they avoided me because I was underage? If that were the case, I'd finally be on equal footing with my superiors. I had such faint hopes for a moment, and yet,
Well,
Emma left while showing me the screen of her smartphone. To be honest, it was not an amount I could easily afford, given that I was supporting my family on a small salary. Emma was absolutely correct, but I couldn't help but feel irritated since I knew I was being mocked.
see? You can't participate, can you?
I couldn't help but be annoyed by her attitude of asking me, even though she knew the answer. I'm not going, but all I could say was that I didn't want to. Rather than that, I couldn't. I knew I'd be scoffed at if I competed with such a modest commitment. I knew that, but even after all these years, I couldn't look back at my boss, and I couldn't help but feel miserable. But I was determined to continue to look forward. It was me who chose this path, even if I didn't have many options. I had no choice but to try my best on the course I had selected. My superiors left the office on the day of the party looking pleasant and a little more dressed up than normal. I completed the remaining tasks and was set to leave the office 2 hours after everyone else. That's when the company phone rang. When I answered, it was Emma on the other end.
The president wants to see you, so come quickly to the restaurant. That's what she told me. As Emma hung up the phone, she clicked her tongue and said, "How can the president want to see someone like him?"
I honestly felt the same way. I had heard rumors about the new president. He was a gifted president who had founded his own company in his 20s and grown it into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise in just 2 years. Furthermore, he was rumored among his employees to have a decent face and attractive appearance. I had no idea why such a president would call me. When I arrived at the high-class restaurant, I was still clueless. She warned me, and I was taken in front of the president of the company. As rumor had it, the president was so young and attractive, even to my masculine eyes, that I questioned if he was the president. And the sparkling aura that overflowed from him was so strong that I couldn't believe he was the same human being as I was. I apologize for calling you out so suddenly. The president said that much and looked me squarely in the face. Yes, what is it? I was nervous since I had never had someone examine my face so deeply before. Then the president said he called my name. Wait, well, yes, but I just arrived, so I knew I hadn't yet introduced myself, but I wondered if somebody had informed him in advance. But apparently not, because both Emma and the other boss sitting next to him looked surprised. Then how did the boss know my name? I was thinking frantically in my head. Then unexpected words came out of the president's mouth. I met you once when you were in the first grade of junior high school. I had no idea I had met him in my first year of junior high school. I'm sorry, I don't recall. I told him honestly. The president then told me the story of when he had apparently met me. I was originally attending an education college to become a teacher, and I met you at my internship site. Excuse me? It surprised both me and my bosses that the current president of the corporation had attended an education college a few years ago. At the same time, I remembered an internship student who had visited my class during my first year of junior high. I think his name was... "Are you Master Miller?" I asked, and he nodded. And for the first time in the winter of my first year in junior high school, plus, I had to consider my career route. It was around this time that I realized I wouldn't be able to continue on to high school. Although I was aware of this, I was a little hesitant about submitting a different questionnaire than everyone else. For several weeks, I told my homeroom teacher that I had forgotten to bring it. Mr. Miller noticed that something was not right. I know what I have to write here, but I'm afraid of being different from everyone else. Then Mr. Miller said to me, those remarks struck a chord with me at the time, alleviating whatever fear I had about working after graduating from junior high. I was able to live positively even in this difficult position because of him. Thank you so much for your help at that time. Wuna quickly thanked him. Mr. Miller said something unexpected. What? That's that. Mr. Miller even bowed his head. The executives surrounding him, including Emma, rolled their eyes. My heart would have been crushed by now if it hadn't been for the president's commands. I mean, Mr. Miller's. When I think about it, the encounter was really big for me. I was overjoyed that he remembered my meeting with him in the same way. I shook hands with Mr. Miller, and the situation around me changed dramatically the following month. First and foremost, as one would anticipate from a former education student, teamwork improved fast, and I guess they became aware of me as a team member by working together towards the same goal. I noticed that there was no one left who was sarcastic towards me. This, of course, includes Emma. I was surprised at how big of a difference great leadership makes. Now I can truly feel satisfaction in my work and live a fulfilling life. This is owing to Mr. Miller, who assisted me twice. I am truly glad that I did not give up and kept looking forward. I will continue to believe in the road I have chosen, and one day I aspire to be like Mr. Miller.